Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand, and I got to thinking last night. Now, I did a community stream last night, and I will link that in the pinned card, but it got me thinking a little bit about the issue of race swapping, and I have covered that plenty of times on this channel, and I still hold true to what I think. If it is a new adaptation, you can change the race of the character if it is not tied to the character or essential to the plot. I do think there are instances where race swapping really does work, where it adds to the story, such as Umbrella Academy with Rumor. I think there are other issues where it works and makes the character more interesting, such as BD Wong as Hugo Strange in Gotham. And I do think there are times when it doesn't work. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about why I think sometimes it's a little bit racist. Now, you're probably going to think I'm a little crazy right now, but just listen to what I have to say. And I've been thinking about this because if you notice, most of the characters that are race swapped are generally side characters. Now, there are a couple instances coming up we will talk about with Warner Brothers that are not, but nobody ever has the guts to add diversity when it comes to a main character. Look at the animation and the live action Supergirl, where we had Jimmy Olsen race swapped. That is always a side character, and I am not sure exactly why they do this as a side trope instead of adding diversity. If that is your goal, to add diversity, do it. Don't half do it. Now, there are a lot of race swappings, a lot of side characters. Look at Heimdall, Valkyrie. Now, one that technically some people consider a race swap, which was Nick Fury. He technically was the Ultimate Fury. He came out before the Sam Jackson version and eventually was brought into the 616 as the original Nick Fury's illegitimate son. So that one technically isn't a race swap, even though a lot of people consider it. Mary Jane, another side character. Angrboda, we talked about last night, another side character. Now, there are instances that I have no issue with. Actually, a lot of them. The Little Mermaid, it's a Danish fairy tale, but she's a mythical creature. A lot of times they race swap the characters that have black in the name, and I don't know why. Black Canary, Manchester Black. Okay, all right. Now, instances where I don't think you should do it, like I said, if it's tied to the character. Anne Boleyn was the most ridiculous race swap I have seen. That's an erasure of history, right? That's a silly thing to do. Now, I think a lot of us have to kind of take a look and go, this is different multiverses, right? The original will always exist. It doesn't take away from that. The original will always exist. And it's not crazy to think that maybe, just maybe, if we can fly, if we can shoot lasers out of our eyes, there's a good chance that there can be another race, right? So, and I've said it before, a lot of these characters were written by white men in the 60s and 70s, where they wouldn't put diversity in because it was simply not something that was really sold, right? A lot of the publishers wouldn't publish it. And now we're seeing that influx. Now, there are two instances I want to talk about that are coming up that I actually see Warner Brothers going, okay, we've done this quite a few times, right? We're going to do it in a main setting. And honestly, I kind of have respect for that, right? If you're going to do diversity and you don't want it to be this type of tokenized character, then do it with the main character. And they are doing that for Clark Kent. And they are doing that for Barbara Gordon. And honestly, why don't we include all races? When you look at stuff in the media, especially comic book properties, simply because that's what I know, not only are they generally side characters, but they're generally black. We don't see a lot of Latina or Latino representation. We don't see a lot of Asian. I mean, we do, but not near as much. When we think of race swap, you are generally going to think of a black character. And quite possibly 90% of the time, it is a black character. And then we see a whole bunch of stereotypes with those characters, right? Why do interracial couples always have a white half? Always have a white half. And not another race. You have the tough black woman stereotype, right? There is no breaking down those barriers because she's tough. And you have the smart Jewish man. There is so many different stereotypes that we see when it comes to those diverse characters. Why can't there just be a great story? And we could see that. What about with Clark Kent? This is going to be a little bit controversial. I don't like the idea of it because he is such a legacy character. He's such a iconic character. I don't know that people will accept it, and I don't really think it's very smart. I think they should have done Val Zod, which they are doing. Michael B. Jordan is doing a Val Zod property, but Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams are working on a Clark Kent property, and it is a timepiece of a black Clark Kent set in the 30s or 40s. Now that could be done. It could be done, and the reason I say that is because if you watch the second season of Umbrella Academy, you had Rumor, and they went back in time. They went back to the civil rights era, and that's why I said it added to the story, because she was a black woman sent back in time from our time now, having to deal and help with a civil rights movement. And it was done beautifully. If you want to see a good comic book property, check out Umbrella Academy. It was done really well. Honestly, that's one that is better than the original. But they didn't make a main character black, but they did add to the story. So at what point, if you are actually race swapping these characters, is it a little bit racist that you're afraid to pull the gun? And I'm talking a little bit about Marvel here. Now, I know they did it with Eternals. I'm talking a little bit about any of the animation properties. I'm talking about all of that. Isn't it a little bit messed up that you are only willing to give the chance to the side characters and not to all races? Isn't it a little messed up that not only do you do that, but you keep them stereotypical? I don't know at what point you don't take a look in the mirror and go, okay, all right, we need to bring Storm in. A great character. One of the best leaders of the X-Men. We need to bring Vixen in. We need an icon and we need a rocket show. These are characters that are not stereotypical. These are characters that are amazing. Icon is one of my favorite characters in the Dakotaverse. I absolutely love him. Of course, Static. Everybody loves Static. But Icon is Black Superman before Val Zod, right? Before Calvin Ellis. At what point do you go, okay, if we are unwilling to swap the main characters because we are a little nervous or a little scared to pull that gun, then we need to bring in those other ones. We need to lift them up. What about Nubia? We have two amazing, I know the second one for some people isn't so amazing, but Wonder Woman properties, Wonder Woman movies. That first movie, every single time she goes to that no man's land scene and she walks up, I get chills every single time. What excuse do you have not for making a Nubia property? You are looking at Themyscira, which is rich and diverse. You don't bring in Philibus as a main character, but you race swap Artemis. Side character. Again, side character. So is it racist? Is it a little bit messed up? Or is it accidental? Is it something that some people see as sloppy seconds? I don't necessarily. Just because I think that the main character, I don't see it as sloppy seconds because I think basically in that time period, all characters were white by default, right? So I have no problem adding diversity. But at what point do you look at it and go, maybe, just maybe, what you're doing is a little messed up because you're unwilling to pull the gun and make it a main character, and you're unwilling to bring in the characters I mentioned because they don't have the IP well known, right? I don't know. Food for thought. Let me know what you guys think. I'm curious about this. I wanted to pick your brain. I wanted to get your ideas on this because looking back, it seems a little messed up. Really does. Like I said, I don't necessarily like the idea of Clark Kent being, well, more than anything, I don't like the idea of Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams on it, right? I haven't heard a whole lot of good things, but that doesn't mean it won't be good. But at least they have the guts to pull the trigger. Gotta respect it for that. So let me know, of course, what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.